The sun had barely risen over the dusty ridges of Red Butte Valley when rancher Cole Maddox stood on the front porch of his weather-scarred homestead, his boots planted firm on the creaking wood as he stared down the long dirt road stretching like a faded ribbon toward the horizon. Today was supposed to be the day his mail-order bride arrived, a woman whose letters had been the only warmth he'd known in years. Cole wasn't a man easily shaken. He'd fought droughts, storms, cattle thieves, and loneliness so sharp it felt like a blade under the ribs. But the thought of finally meeting the woman who promised to bring color into a life full of brown dust, as she once wrote, made his heart beat like a runaway stallion. He'd shaved twice that morning, cleaned the porch, even polished the brass buckle his father left him. The ranch dogs, Dusty and Bramble, lounged lazily by the water trough, lifting their heads whenever Cole paced back and forth. The wind carried the smell of sagebrush and far-off rain, a rare blessing in this dry stretch of Arizona territory. At last, he heard it, the distant thunder of approaching hooves. Cole straightened, tugged at his vest, and felt a nervous grin tug at the corner of his rough jawline. He imagined her riding modestly side-saddle, bonnet tied under her chin, maybe clutching a small suitcase filled with hopes, dreams, and a few embroidered linens. But as the rider grew closer, Cole's smile faltered. The silhouette wasn't small or feminine. Instead, it was massive, broad shoulders, towering height, a presence that seemed to swallow the sunlight behind it. The horse beneath the figure was enormous, muscles straining as though carrying a boulder. As the rider slowed to a stop a few feet from the porch, Cole felt Dusty and Bramble growl behind him. The rider swung one long leg over the saddle and landed with a ground-shaking thud. And only then did Cole see clearly who stood before him, an Apache warrior, taller than the doorframe of the ranch house and twice Cole's size, with chest muscles carved like canyon walls, and arms that looked capable of snapping fence posts in half. His hair was braided with leather strips, his chest marked with patterns of ochre and ash, and his dark eyes were sharp enough to slice through steel. Cole froze, swallowing hard. The warrior took a step forward, shadow falling across Cole's boots. "You Maddox," he said in a low, steady voice. Not a question, a confirmation. Cole forced his voice not to shake. I am," he managed. "Where's the stagecoach? I'm expecting someone." The warrior reached into a rawhide pouch and pulled out a crumpled, dust-stained envelope, the same kind Cole had been receiving for months. The sight of it punched the air right out of Cole's lungs. The warrior held it out. "She is my sister," he said. "Her name, Nolan." Cole blinked hard. Nolan. He had thought his bride's name was Nellie, because her handwriting, though smooth and poetic, was hard to read. Suddenly, the world tilted. The warrior continued. She sent word. She would come. But danger followed her. White men who hunt. Apache women to sell them in the territories. She fled into the mountains. "I am here to see who she wrote to see if you can be trusted." Cole's mouth went dry. None of this had been in the letters. He felt his pulse hammer in his ears. But he also felt something else, a protective instinct rising in his chest. A woman he'd never met, yet poured her heart out to him in ink, was now hunted? He clenched his jaw. "What's your name?" Cole asked. The giant stepped forward. "Taji," he said. "I am her brother, and I do not trust white men." Cole nodded stiffly. "Most days," he said honestly. "I don't trust them either." Something flickered in Taji's eyes, surprise, maybe respect. The air between them tightened like a drawn rope. Before either could speak again, the thunder of more hooves echoed across the valley, fast, frantic, hungry. Taji's head snapped toward the sound. "They come," he growled. "The ones who hunt her." Cole didn't hesitate. He dashed into the house, grabbed his Winchester rifle, and tossed another to Taji, who caught it effortlessly with one hand. The two men, strangers a moment ago, now stood shoulder to shoulder, staring down the approaching cloud of dust. A group of armed riders burst into view, their faces hardened with greed and violence. Cole didn't know their names, but he knew their type, men who would burn a ranch, steal cattle, and destroy lives for profit. Taji's muscles tensed like coiled snakes. If they reach her, he said through clenched teeth, she dies. Cole's blood boiled. Not while I'm still breathing. The outlaws fanned out, surrounding the ranch, guns drawn. Cole and Taji ducked behind a water trough, bullets whistling past like angry wasps. Dust sprayed up around them. Dogs barked wildly. Cole fired first, hitting a rider square in the shoulder. Taji rose from cover, towering like a mountain, and with calm precision, fired shots that dropped 2 more attackers from their saddles. The outlaws shouted curses. The battle raged across the ranch yard, splintering fence posts, shattering windows, and filling the air with smoke and fear. As the dust thickened, Cole felt his world shift again, not because of the bullets, but because he realized something. This wasn't just about a bride anymore. It was about honor, justice, protecting a woman he'd come to care for through ink, now threatened by monsters. And standing beside him, impossible in size yet steadfast in loyalty, was the brother. 3/3 of that woman, an Apache giant who judged Cole's worth by his actions, not his skin. Together, they fought like wolves defending their den. After a final shootout near the barn, the last of the outlaws fled into the desert, defeated and terrified. Cole leaned against the porch post, chest heaving, sweat dripping. Taji glanced at him, then nodded once, a gesture heavy with meaning. You fight hard, he said. You protect. Maybe. His voice softened only slightly. Maybe you are the man she wrote about. Cole wiped dirt from his face. Where is she now? Taji pointed toward the distant mountains. Hiding. Waiting. If you wish to find her, you come with me. Her enemies will return, and she cannot face them alone. Cole didn't hesitate. Then saddle up, he said. We ride at dawn. Taji's lips twitched, something close to approval. And as the giant Apache walked back to his horse, Cole felt a strange certainty settling into his bones. His life had just changed forever. Far in the distance, thunder rumbled, not from the sky, but from the unknown journey ahead. And for the first time in a long time, Cole felt something he thought he'd never feel again, hope. And as their shadows stretched across the valley, ready for a path filled with danger, destiny, and unexpected brotherhood, Cole whispered a promise to the wind, and to himself, that he'd find Nolin and protect her with everything he had. For viewers listening to this unfolding tale, make sure to subscribe, because the journey ahead is only getting wilder, deeper, and more thrilling from here.